that he would do a junior and senior as well.
Darrin, do you think maybe Malik takes a little bit of a leadership role just because of his experience playing the game, that he was here last year with you guys going through things, and now he's finally ready to go?
I think he can. I think when we talk about leadership, we're really talking about more leadership by committee, and more so in terms of bringing energy and emotion and effort every day. But there's no question that Malik can do that from the standpoint that he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest, he's not the tallest. But put some time on the clock and tell him there's going to be a winner and a loser. I wouldn't trade that cat for anybody. And so I think from that standpoint, Malik definitely that does help us with that area. He just brings us a certain toughness and competitiveness that I think is going to provide its own kind of leadership, maybe without being that guy.
You mentioned that Bruce was the most physically ready. Where are some of those other guys, RJ, Montre, in terms of how far away are they from what you consider physically ready?
Well, I mean, they're all probably going to have to contribute in some way from the sheer numbers standpoint, and they're all ready to help. I just think from again, when I say that, Bruce is an elite athlete that physically is ready to do that. RJ and Brian Richardson, basketball-wise, are without question ready to contribute. I think physically they're going to continue to get better. Worries me when we have a guy that weighs less than me. That's not a good thing, but he's a heck of a lot better player than I was. That is a good thing, and Brian Richardson. So I think those two guys, basketball will help. I think, DeMontre physically, in terms of just sheer giftedness and athleticism, is ready to contribute right away. Not the physical specimen in terms of being able to handle workload, maybe that Bruce is. But I think that he can, for sure. Eric Smith is also physically, ready in terms of strength. He's strong. He's fast. Stamina needs to improve, but he's shown that. And Big Carlton has shown some good things. He's a guy that I think is going to keep getting better and better. He's been a real pleasant surprise, and so I think all in their own way will contribute some and are ready. I just think from a sheer athleticism standpoint, Bruce is just ahead of them.
When you are losing a player like that, how important is it to find someone like Bruce who is ready, so to speak, especially at that position?
Huge. I mean, it's huge, and it's not just losing a player like Devin, it's losing a terrific point guard. I mean, at the end of the day, that is the most crucial position on the floor. And when you've got one that athletically and basketball-wise, that can handle, what comes their way, it makes a big difference for your team, and it makes a big difference for you as a coach, because that's not something you're having to manufacture. You've got a really good point guard. How do we get the ball up the floor? I mean, and I've been there. That's one thing you don't want to have to think about. That's kind of checked off the list for us right now, for example. And both Bruce and Eric are freshmen. They'll have to learn and have growing pains, as was mentioned earlier. But from a talent standpoint, they can do that. And so I think that makes a big difference.
You haven't had to keep Coach Spurrier from sniffing around Bruce, I think.
No. He looks like he's doing pretty good to me. I don't think he needs my help.
Ideally, how many guys would you like to be on the court?
We don't have. That's a really good question. We don't have a number. I think sometimes when you play the way we would like to play, people think that okay, I'm going to get 10, and I'm finding out a way to fill 10. I'm going to play as many guys as can help us win. It could be 8, could be 9, could be 10 or 11. Obviously there's only so many minutes in the game, and you're probably going to keep your best players out there the majority of those minutes, especially in close games. But I think that number will be determined, like a lot of other things with this team, as we move forward. And the more, the better, I think, for how we want to play, and just for getting more guys involved and having more weapons. But some of that will be determined in terms of how many and then how much they play when we do determine how many will be based on how they perform.
Despite the fact that you have 8 or 9 guys that can play, and you have all these different guys that can contribute, do you have a pretty good idea of what your starting lineup might be?
We haven't practiced. I really don't. We've had the fall workouts where we've been out there a couple hours a week here and there and done some skill stuff. But to say that these 5 guys have completely distinguished themselves, or that okay, when you look look at how they mix together, that's the case. I know my last year at Western Kentucky, we started the 5 best players, and we weren't quite as good until we subbed the kid in that hit that miracle shot in the tournament. And for whatever reason, we were just better when he was in the lineup to start games. And so I'm nowhere near ready to say that.
How about some of the other returnees? I mean, guys like Jandre and Lakeem, and have you seen enough out of them from last season to right now to give you some confidence that they can be able to take those steps needed that you guys need for them to succeed?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's gotten better, and I hope the one benchmark of our program, besides kids graduating, is that, individually they're going to improve. And they've definitely done that physically, especially. But, you still have to go out and perform. And so from what I've seen to this point, I am confident in that. But, the key is, continuing to produce it, not only in fall workouts, but then in the preseason practice and then in the games and doing it with consistency. And so, we'll be waiting to see that from everybody. But, everybody that's returning has done that. I know Ramon, for example, doesn't necessarily visibly to the naked eye look, huge compared to what he was. Went from not even being able to bench like 185 to benching 250. So we've had vast improvements physically and skill-wise with all those guys. But, we got to go out and do it.
How do you go about changing the rebound? I know y'all were in the lower third of rebounding margin last year. What are things you do as a coach? Do you change your scheme defensively? Do you focus more on blocking out, maybe less going for blocks? How do you change things to improve the rebounding margin?
Well, I think it's got to be a focus for us. I think we've got to get better at it. I think we've probably got to be a better block-out team than we've been in the past, just because even with our athleticism, I don't know that we have a bunch of guys that are just going to get rebounds. And so that's something that, again, collectively as a team, we're going to have to work at and be committed to do better than we did.
I know you have a bunch of games between now and then, but any sense of anticipation going back to Western Kentucky later on?
Any what?
Any sense of anticipation going back to Western Kentucky?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm sure it'll be neat when we get there, but, we're getting ready for practice tomorrow.
Are they going to boo? Are they going to cheer when you run?
I don't know. I hope they don't boo.
All right, guys. The players are going to be available until 4:45.